Welcome to another episode of Imagination Fun Time. I am your host, Brandon Devine. How are you folks doing? What is today? Wednesday, April 24th. It is 2024. As far as I know, the Democrats are still trying to run with old man Biden, which is shocking and weird. This is 2024. This is an election year. This is a year that is going to supposedly change America the same way it did every other election year since I can remember. What was the first one I remember? First one I remember was 2000. But the reason I start off this episode by saying that is because the topic of this episode, it takes place, is a movie that came out during a very pivotal election year, the year of 2004, the year of Bush and Kerry, of two well-respected, quote-unquote, Vietnam veterans. So the topic of today's episode is the wonderful, amazing, hilarious movie Team America World Police, and I have none other than my good friend Nicci Pierce, the Broship, here with me to discuss this movie. Hello, Nicci.
Woo, hello.
So Nicci, you were actually the first one to show me this movie because it shamefully took me many, many years to actually watch the movie, and I wish I had years ago because it might have actually changed my political standings in life.
Yeah, I was quite shocked, like how big of a South Park Trey and Matt fan you are, and you've never seen this one.
I mean, I'm just a lazy fuck in general. There's so many things I haven't seen that I'm still a fan of. But, I don't know, like, for some reason, like, no one I knew, like, I definitely probably knew people that have seen Team America, but I never knew anybody that was, like, openly recommending it. Because, for me, like, I sort of remember the movie when it came out because I remember, I would watch a little bit of MTV here and there. It was at that point, when was this released? October 2004. Yeah. Literally right before the election. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was the first election I got to participate in. I graduated high school that year.
Oh, shit.
18.
Okay, so you were a prime age for this movie. I was still a bit young. I had just entered middle school at that point. And I don't think they were showing many advertisements for Team America on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network at that point. Maybe during Adult Swim.
They might have shown some, The trailers are always rated G.
That's true. That was 04. 04, it was the year before they started YouTube, so I don't think the Red Band trailer was actually a thing back then.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they might have had one. I'm trying to think. Like, I can remember one of the movies early on doing that, and I can't remember if this did, but it definitely didn't, like, play on regular TV. It might have been, like, on Comedy Central after 10 o'clock or something.
But I think I remember telling you this around the time when I first watched this movie with you, was that I think in my dumb 10, 11-year-old mind, whenever I did see, like I said, I did see some trailers for this movie on TV at some point, or maybe it was in theaters. Like, I did go to the movies a lot, see different movies and stuff like that, so maybe it was in the theaters. And for some reason in my head, I confused this with Captain America, the Marvel superhero.
Okay.
I don't know. In my head, like, I was like Team America, and I think I had seen like pictures of Captain America, and for some reason in my head, I just kind of confused them. I literally remember that though as a kid.
Yeah.
I think, because that was like around the same time that that was like the same time the Fantastic Four came out, and I was really, really into that movie when it came out. And I was like kind of going to to our local comic shop reading comics, so I think it was there that I kind of got a little confused. But if I had seen this movie when I was 10 years old, I would have been super confused.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it would have made me. It probably would have made me laugh. It probably would have made me laugh, but I wouldn't have understood like all the like what the comedy is like portraying and stuff like that. I wouldn't understand like what they're really trying to say of like, because they say in all the interviews of the movie, you know, the behind the scenes, like they want, like one of their goals is they want to show what it felt like to be an American from 2001 to up to that point in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were like, for me, I was in elementary school, so we didn't give a fuck about anything. We just were concerned about, you know, recess, you know, getting a Slurpee after school, our mom's taking us somewhere, all that stuff. But you were in high school, so I feel like it was probably a bit different for you. You guys actually talked about, you know, 9/11 and the war and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, 9/11 happened my sophomore year of high school. And then I think we went to war with Iraq my junior year. So it was definitely, like, teachers. I remember the whole, like, week of 9/11. It happened on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it? Damn, it was on a Tuesday?
I think it was. It was Tuesday morning.
I'll never look at Tuesdays again. Never look at them the same way again.
Yeah, the teachers, like, every class had CNN on. Like, even, like, when we were just doing our work or whatever, it was just on in the background.
Yeah.
And we were definitely like, yeah, go to war, go to war.
Like, right away. Like,
well, pretty much. It was like, somebody needs to pay for this bullshit. And later on, you found out, like, it wasn't Iraq. But we were just, I remember people, like, cheering, because they showed on CNN, like, when we started bombing them at night. Or, you know, I remember, like, it being in night vision. And, like, people in the classroom, like, literally cheering and stuff. Because the government had made it seem like we were going after the people who did 9/11. But, you know, now looking back at it, it was like, well, no, we really weren't.
We just went after a completely different country that had nothing to do with what just happened.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, okay, we're finishing Desert Storm, I guess.
Yeah, because, like, for me, yeah, that happened in third grade, and when I was in third grade, so I just, like I said, like, all of my childhood was just revolved around Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and just being a regular kid. I wasn't that political kid paying attention to the nuances of what the American government was getting into. And so my mom always had the TV on in the house, and she had the news on every morning. So, like, I was raised on, you know, Today's Show, always on every morning, usually pretty much NBC nightly news every night, stuff like that. She wasn't the CNN. She never had CNN or Fox on. It was always, yeah, it was usually always just NBC. It's like it's always been her go-to. And so, like, naturally, you know, I would see, like, the news stories every night of 9/11, and then it was from there. It's where I first learned about Saddam Hussein, and then Al-Qaeda. And then, but I knew nothing about Desert Storm. I know nothing about, like, you know, our first tussles with Iraq during the 90s. I had known none of that. Like, in 2003, when we invaded Iraq, I just felt like, I had no idea. Yeah, as a 10-year-old, I had really no idea about, like, the prior history to what was going on. And I definitely remember, like, supporting, being like, yay, let's go get him. Having no idea that, like, this is completely fucked up.
Yeah, it was a big deal because, you know, 2001 I was 15. But a lot of seniors that year, like, a lot of people, like, felt it was their duty to join the army or the military in some way. And a lot of people my age were deployed, or a little older than me, were deployed to go. And it was just, like, a few kids died there. I mean, died in the war and stuff in my area, and it was pretty impactful. Like, I remember the Dixie Chicks when they were all against like President Bush.
Okay, I do remember that one.
And everybody went against them because it was kind of like, how dare you?
I remember my mom being very neutral on that one. I remember my mom being like, "Well, they have a right to say what they say, but there is consequences."
Well, that's because your mom hates Republicans. Like, the majority of the country at that point didn't care that Bush was a Republican. It was just like, hey, he's leading us through a difficult time.
That's true.
And now it's like looking back and it's like, no, the Dixie Chicks were right.
Yeah,
they caught so much shit for that, but, they ended up being correct.
But they were not people that were parodied in this movie. Let's get back to Team America. Let's get back to what it's about. Team America. Let's go. I had the list right here of the people parodied in the movie. It says like, well, Trey Parker voicing most of them. Let's see, there was like the Hollywood celebrities: Matt Damon, Tim Robbins, Sean Penn, who I'm not sure if you know. Did you know that he's been to Iraq?
I have.
I heard Sean Penn has been to Iraq.
We're full of gumdrop smiles.
Fat fascist Michael Moore, Helen Hunt, Peter Jennings, Susan Sarandon, Liv Tyler, Janine Garofalo, and then Matt was voicing George Clooney, Danny Glover, Ethan Hawke, Martin Sheen, and then there's a few other people. Alec Baldwin is voiced by. He's voiced by the guy who voices the Brain, and Big Bob in Hey Arnold.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then also Sam Jackson. And I think I remember asking like when we watched this movie, it was like, why are they pairing all these actors? And I think you said it was like because these are the people who are like openly like being like the super liberal side of like, we shouldn't go to war, this is wrong kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are the ones being like, these are all the actors who are like using their platform as a famous person to like say like, we shouldn't be going to war, like we shouldn't be doing this, when all they really should be doing is like promoting whatever supposedly cool movie they're making at that point, right?
Well, I think, yeah, exactly. I think we're having a lot of that right now, to be honest. It's like, I don't care what the political opinions are of actors, and they're kind of ruining entertainment for us. Like, Mark Hamill, oh my gosh.
What's he, I'm not following Mark Hamill. What's he been doing? Has he been saying some...
He said that Biden was the best president ever, and when you look under the comments... But we're getting off topic. But you know what I mean? We're kind of going through the same thing right now where celebrities are spouting their mouths off, and a lot of them aren't fully educated. And, neither are the people, neither are we, especially back then. I think now it's different. The internet is a lot more available, and like in 2004, there was internet and there was Google.
Well, yeah, there was internet. Well, yeah, obviously, like the internet.
It wasn't like it is now,
No, it's
like the social media.
No, it was just like, yeah, it was like people. MySpace was still really small, and like probably around that time, it was like the time Zuckerberg was like just working on building Facebook. So people were all like.
I mean, stealing Facebook.
Stealing Facebook from the hardworking Winklevoss twins.
Yes.
God. Can you imagine if Facebook, like, if they were in like the position that, like, if Facebook was still the same thing it was today, but it was them in the position of what Zuckerberg's in, and like they're like, I don't think there's no way they would be trying to like build like AI or stuff like that. They would have been like just supporting like. They would have been, like, straight up philanthropists and, like, just supporting, like, athletic endeavors and stuff like that.
Probably, but I think at the end of the day, like, rumor is if Facebook is owned by the CIA, and I think that would still be happening. But, yeah, the figureheads of the company might be taking a different approach to it rather than the creepy...
Instead of the weird autistic nerd being the figurehead, it would have been the the cool jocks Olympic athletes from Harvard. Like the two exact. I remember. So yeah, like, but back then, like you only ever heard of like celebrities talking about stuff like on news, on on whatever news station they could get like be on, or what was it, like, you know, they could be on like the radio or something like that. Radio was still,
yeah, and magazines and things like that.
oh right, magazine, definitely. Oh, that's right. I forgot about magazines, because people don't read magazines anymore. So that's true. That was like a big thing. People, like, what was it, like People Magazine, Us Weekly, like all those kind of like.
I mean, any of them really.
Fuck.
Interview a celebrity, but yeah, those were the people that were like so against the war. Like, you know what I mean? It's just being the complete opposite, where it's like things are more in the middle. You know, there's more nuance to things than just black and white. Oh, we shouldn't go to war. It's like, oh no.
Well, we shouldn't have gone. They were right in some sense. We shouldn't have gone to war. Like we shouldn't have gone to war with, you know, Iraq. We should have just solely focused on finding Osama, and then be like, all right, we're good, we're out.
Well, I mean, we had to, like, it's kind of like Hydra, cut off the head of the snake and two more appear or whatever. We'd had to do more than just kill him. But yeah, I mean, Afghanistan I remember hearing that's where they were. And I even had a friend who was like training to go to Afghanistan. Like, he was training at Fort Drum to do like mountain combat. And they ended up just sending him to Iraq. It was just like, okay.
You're like, wait, what? Like, wait, what's in Iraq? She's like, shut up. You're going to Iraq. But like, we're supposed to go to Afghanistan. Shut up. They have.
Well, yeah, you just go, okay, I'm being deployed to Baghdad. All right.
It's like, why are all these briefings talking about oil?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are we so focused on oil? Damn. So, but like, okay, and then like, for people who have not watched Team America, one of the other big parts of the movie is the movie itself being a spoof and parody of the big Jerry Bruckheimer movies. And Jerry Bruckheimer, for those you don't, for people who don't know, is a very legendary Hollywood producer, and probably one of the biggest producers from like the 1980s through like the 2000s and stuff like that. And just, you know, looking at his Wikipedia, look at Flashdance, The Rock, Crimson Tide, Con Air, Armageddon, Enemy of the State, Pearl Harbor, the best historical action movie of all time, Black Hawk Down, Beverly Hills Cop, Top Gun, Bad Boys, Pirates of the Caribbean, National Treasure, among many others. So what they wanted to do is like, Trey and Matt are notoriously not huge fans of the the storytelling aspect of these movies. I think they've said, like, you know, it's not the action parts that bother them. It's the fact that, like, you watch a lot of these big budget movies, which are really fun movies, but the story itself in the movies is just shit half the time, because like the movie is just so focused on like the action and like the visual aspect, instead of like the storytelling aspect of, like, you're making a movie. And, like, at the end of the day, a movie is supposed to be a story, so you should tell a really good story.
Yeah. Well, and you forgot to mention that what they wanted to do originally was The Day After Tomorrow with puppets.
They would have had... I don't know. That is true. They did state in the commentary that one of the... Did Jerry Bruckheimer produce Day After Tomorrow?
I think is it Michael Bay's film?
No, the Day After Tomorrow was Roland. Roland Emmerich. The guy, Stargate, Independence Day,
dang.
Godzilla. Fuck that
I didn't
up.
even know that name. Those are some pretty big
No,
names.
he's done like he's done a lot of really, really big action movies and stuff like that. He said he's widely known for his science fiction and disaster films. None of his movies are really, well, I mean, I guess Day After Tomorrow is kind of a disaster film.
What do you mean, kind of? It's a complete. What are you talking about?
It is. It is a disaster.
It's a disaster film. Except global warming is the culprit.
Okay, yes, because they said in the commentary that they were laughing about reading an article in Vanity Fair about an eco, like, disaster movie, like, or climate change disaster movie, because climate change was definitely a big topic, you know, especially because of Mr. Al Gore and stuff like that. I can't remember, climate change really came about, like, really in, like, the 2000s, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Al Gore definitely had his stuff to say. Because I know, like, they've been talking about it since at least the 70s,
But yes, they were, but when they were reading about The Day After Tomorrow, they were just like, there's no way that Hollywood is, you know, dumb enough to actually buy this kind of a script. And then a year later, they're reading about, like, they're into production of Day After Tomorrow. And, like, I definitely remember that movie. That's definitely a movie I remember from 2004, because that one was definitely shown all over, you know, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. That one was definitely heavily marketed towards kids. I'm pretty sure I saw it with my dad in theaters. But I remember thinking that was, you know, a really fun movie. It was a really fun, exciting movie. But now when you look back on it, as an adult, it's still, like, a visually really cool movie. But again, like, no story, no really decent, good story behind it. It's just, like, all of a sudden, the disaster appears and they just have to deal with it.
Well, it's like what Trey was saying, like, they're literally running away from climate change.
That scene is sick as fuck. That scene is cool as fuck. They also admit that scene is cool. That scene is cool. They're running down the hall and just the ice is just, like, chasing them, and they close the door so quickly. The ice is about to, like, bite at them or something.
Well, I know that they also, like, they use the score for The Day After Tomorrow for, like, the score, not, like, the exact score, but as inspiration for the score for Team America, because they said, like, the music is really good.
Yeah, you go to, like, any... Let's see, who did the music in Team America? This man by the name of Harry Gregorson Williams from Sussex, England. Let's see. Man on Fire, Phone Booth, Chronicles of Narnia, Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, the Shrek franchise. Cool. Hey. Spy Kids. I mean, like, honestly, I've never, as far as I can remember, I've never had really an issue with, like, any score of movies and stuff like that. They always seem to do really good jobs. Oh, wait, it says right here he replaced Mark Shaman. Was Mark Shaman going to do Team America? Oh. I don't know. That would have. I mean, Mark Shaman, as for some people who don't know, co-wrote all the music for the South Park movie with Trey Parker. But also sometimes
he couldn't get it out in time.
Wait, what?
So maybe he couldn't get it out in time.
Maybe.
I know, like, they were way behind in production for Team America, and, like, they barely made it to October.
Oh yeah, like when you listen to the commentary from the season of South Park, that was Season 8. Trey talks about, like, 2004 being, like, the year from hell, where it was, like, didn't have, like, a single day off, like, pretty much the entire year. It was just episodes of South Park, right into making of Team America, which is just, they say, like, you know, they would rather kill themselves than ever have to do that again. Which when you watch if you watch all the behind the scenes videos and stuff like that from Team America like on YouTube, like the production, like just the filmmaking, like when you look at it through those videos, it does look insane as fuck. Because all the sets and stuff, like I didn't realize like how big the sets were. Like there are puppet size sets, but like all the sets and stuff like that are like probably like 8-10 feet tall, like some of the buildings and stuff like that. And they said in like some scenes they have like 30 to 40 puppeteers like going at once.
Yeah.
God fucking damn. Like,
I just love that they got Bill Pope to do like the cinematography.
That's
the guy from the Matrix, bro. Like,
that's what I do remember mentioning that the first time we watched it. I remember it was like the shot where they were walking out of the Broadway theater and going into the limo, and Gary thought that he was going to get molested in the limo. I remember saying like, "Damn, like look at that camera shot, like that smooth. It's so smooth, and like the lighting looks it looks fucking amazing." And then they're like, yeah, they wanted to make sure that they had like this looked exactly like as close to like a big budget action film as you could make it. And let's see, like Bill Pope, famous, I think is most famous for his work on the Matrix series, and then he did Spider-Man 2. Holy shit! Right in after Team America, went right into Spider-Man 3. And
yeah, I remember them being like, they thought, no way he's gonna want to do this, but he's like, I jumped at the chance to work with puppets. Like, when you ever gonna get to work on a movie like this ever again?
I feel like Trey and Matt like seem to get like surprised. I feel like they think that like pretty much everybody in Hollywood hates them, and I don't think it's that people hate them. I think it's people get I think more people in Hollywood like them than hate them, but like like the people who like them are scared to admit it because they don't want like to ostracize themselves almost. Like it seems like
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I think it's a similar thing with like Family Guy. You know what I mean? Like you always make fun of celebrities. So I mean, I don't think they're afraid to say, "Oh, I like South Park." It's just I think Matt and Trey think they're trash. Like people think they're trash. You know what I mean? Like South Park is just some kind of like trashy cartoon. So they're always a little bit like, "Oh wow, somebody with class like enjoys what we do."
I mean, like I've never known one person besides like people my mom's age. Like everyone our age seems to love South Park. Like it's just almost universal.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's fucking good. Do you think like people were like expecting there to be like a sequel to Team America, like at some point?
I mean, at the time, no, I don't remember any of us talking about like a sequel because it was pretty much like that. That's it. Like that's wrapped up. Where do you go from there? You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. And then I remember them saying like it was absolute hell to do, and they would never do it again. So it's like, oh, okay, well, there definitely won't be a sequel.
I mean, if like they try, yeah, like because I mean, this really could only be like we haven't like invaded like we haven't invaded another country since then. I don't think. So like there wouldn't, and they wouldn't. I bet like some people would want them to. Bet some people were like would want to see like the liberal people would want to see like a Team America version where like the enemy is like Trump or something like that. But obviously Trey and Matt wouldn't do that. Yeah, it really would be hard to do like any sort of a sequel to Team America.
Well, you got to remember, Team America wasn't really about us invading a country or anything. It was more about the stupidity of Americans and thinking like we need to go and settle it, like what's happening in Ukraine and Israel and stuff.
And for
we should have nothing to do with that crap.
That's true.
But yeah, here we are, like, stoking the fires and acting like we have to police the world when really we should just be, like, worried about our own education in our own country.
Which is strange.
They always, like, Team America, they say the whole world in Team America is through the view of an American. Like, when you think of Egypt, you don't think of, the people wearing suits and...
Yeah, like, they talk... Yeah, it's true. Like, they talked about, like, that's one of the things. Like, they talked about, like, the building... When they built the sets, like, they want to do, like, what an American would, like, stereotypically think, like, Cairo or Paris or Panama would be like. And it's very true. Like, definitely when I was young, like, maybe in, like, the mind of a 10-year-old, I would think, like, that's what Cairo looked like. But, that's because, like, most people, I think a lot of people maybe think, most Americans never been to Cairo, but they've seen, like, Indiana Jones and, like, that chase scene where, like, Indiana is, like, drive in the first Indiana Jones movie through that, like, Egyptian town or whatever.
I think a lot of Americans think of the Middle East and, like, Arabic places being still, like, stuck in the old days.
Which they're not.
Yeah, most aren't. But they do
a
lot of traditions, so they do wear, like, certain garbs and stuff.
Yeah, at least not, like, the bigger cities. You go out into, like, a lot of, you go out to, like, places that aren't, like, Baghdad or, Beirut or Jerusalem or any of those, like, the major big cities. And, yeah, you're going to find, like, the very traditional-looking houses and villages and... I guess landscape that you would see through, like, the history books. But then you go, like, any of those normal cities and there's roads and cars and, power lines and electricity. And you can go to a restaurant and sit down and there's TV. And there's, like, just everything normal that, like, and it's very true. It's very true. Like, in America, like, you just don't think, they don't, like, dumb Americans... definitely would think, like, we're the only place in the world that has, like, all this stuff, and every place else is, like, living like Amish people. It's like, no.
I think the Western world, like, we know, like, Europe and Australia and stuff have it, and it's just, like, the Middle East to us and Africa are still kind of in the past for a lot of Americans. But it was also funny because in the movie, every time we were in a different place, it would say... 1,343 miles east of America. It's always very much... Because Americans are very self-centered in a way. Like, I mean, a lot are caring and want to help the rest of the world. But we do it.
But we do it in a way of thinking like we know best because we're Americans.
Yeah.
They think...
We have technology and the information.
And we have freedom.
Yes, of course. And we want to bring freedom everywhere, whether they want it or not.
That's true. Like, you just never, like, we go around with that, and we don't ever, like, really ask. It's never, like, we always think, like, that's definitely, like, one of the big things about the movie is, like, we think we know best. And that everyone wants to be like America. Maybe some people do. Maybe some people in other countries want to be like America, but then, like, there's other people in those countries who kind of like things the way they are, or kind of like, old traditions, or, however terrible some of them may be. That's also a part of freedom. Is just because you have freedom doesn't mean, like, it's always going to be good. Some people want to use their freedom to do terrible things.
True. Yeah.
So, like, when we, quote unquote, when we went to Iraq and we, quote unquote, brought democracy to Iraq, that was, like, the American thing of, like, we're going to liberate a country from, like, a terrible dictator, and then we're going to show them how to, like, have an elected official chosen by the people, and suddenly everything's going to be great. And that was completely false. Like we took, we went to Iraq, we took Saddam out, and then the country kind of fell apart because there was no one to run it.
Well, yeah, and I think that was the plan. They wanted it to fall apart so we would have to stay there and continue to help, police the world. But
do you think?
Yeah, Team America.
I think also one of the most famous, one of the more famous parts of the movie is Gary's amazing monologue in the epic climax of the movie, the dicks, pussies, and assholes.
Oh yeah, I use that analogy like all the time.
Ever since I've seen this movie, I've tried to use that analogy all the time because most of the time I'm a pussy, but I want to be a dick and not be an asshole. And it's super tough to be a dick because a dick is usually like who people think might be a dick is like Joe Rogan. Like people definitely would think of someone like he said on his podcast that he's had people who have family members who think he's just like some crazy right-wing nut just from looking at him because he's big and muscular and he's bald and he kind of looks like a gorilla and he's just like he's the alpha, and he says things that people don't necessarily like to hear but are also things that are gonna probably be better for your life than not. Like you need to work out every day, you need to like eat healthy, you need to do tough things in life, all that kind of shit. And that's kind of what dicks do. Like dicks, a good parent is a dick. Because a good parent is going to make you go to bed on time and make you do chores and teach you responsibility. And you're not going to like it. Like, I think what was I reading? Like, I have the Team America Wikipedia page on it. I saw something. Filmmaker's response. It was, they said, cops are dicks. You fucking hate cops, but you need them. And it's really true. It's really true. We don't need... Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say that's what they're talking about. Like, you need the dicks to keep the assholes at bay. Because a pussy can't do that. And pussies definitely keep the dicks from going too crazy.
It's like we don't...
Wait a second.
It's like... It's almost like we don't need the assholes. It's like some people... I don't want to think like we don't need the assholes because it's almost like yin and yang. It's like good cannot exist without evil, but evil must not be allowed to flourish. My favorite quote from the Jedi Creed.
Well, the thing is, like, pussies and dicks can be evil. We don't need the assholes. The assholes are the ones that fuck everything up. The pussies and the dicks are the yin and yang. They're the balance. Because the pussies are the ones who are like, oh, free, like, love everything, everything's great. And then the dicks are the ones who are like, well, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. And it's in the middle there, in between the dicks and the pussies, that balance lies. Because, you need the dicks. You need the dicks to protect us all. And you need the pussies to have compassion for life and the world we live in.
It's almost like you need to have like a dick. It's almost like a mother and father kind of role. Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the dick. Yeah, your dad's supposed to be a dick because he's supposed to lead the family and he's supposed to like protector, all that shit. But then the mom is supposed to, be caring and kind and like you want like nurture and like make the home like a place you want to be and stuff like that, and also show you life's not all bad.
Yeah, life. There's a lot to enjoy about it. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and the assholes of the world are just the assholes of the world. And we don't need them. We don't want them. but they seem to pop up everywhere.
I think that's just part of that's like part of just nature itself. Like you're never. I think it's like. It's like saying like we should stop. We need to get rid of racism or we need to get rid of bullying. It's like I don't think those are things that you can never get rid of. Like there's always going to be someone somewhere who's gonna, be a bully to you, or someone somewhere is going to teach hatred to somebody out of hatred of themselves or lack of resources or stuff, whatever leads to actual racism.
I mean, like in life, yeah, but I mean, as humans, I think we're evolving away from that.
We've all
kind of like what having our consciousness does is eventually one day we will be away from that because we'll see like that's not what matters in this world.
What does matter in this world?
Well, we don't really know. That's what we're going to find out. I mean, obviously, living in harmony is some of the best things we can do. Some of the happiest moments are when you're driving with somebody,
You know what some of the best moments for me was, those times living in LA when just living on the first time living on my own and like actually having fun doing stuff, like just be doing background on sets, like trying to be a PA, all that kind of stuff. When that,
yeah.
You know why life was good back then? Because Trump was in office.
Yeah. True, and man, he's like the symbol of a dick.
He is the real symbol of like the dickhead president. Like he is by far like the biggest dickhead president we've ever had. Because no president in history who's ever talked to the American people the way he talked. Like he does. No American president has ever gone up and just started locker room shit talking people.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's it. That's like what we need right now.
It's really true.
It's so bad.
It's really true, and I kick myself so much for like, looking back at myself 10 years ago when that whole train first started rolling and he first got into that election, of just like I was so against him like the entire time of just like if I'm simply because I just everybody who seemed to be for him was just like basically just like an open Republican and I still had the mindset of like, oh, if I'm part of the Republicans, that's bad.
Yeah. And
not realize, and then thinking like, oh, you want Democrats, democracy, that's good. And just still not understanding like, oh, there's none of it's good. Like they both suck. And none of it really matters in the end because, whoever's in office, there's still like so many other people like truly controlling things.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year. It is for sure going to be a very interesting 2024.
Yeah, it already has been.
It already has been. For us in personal ways, I know you went through something recently. That was pretty hard, but you seem to have bounced back from it and are still moving forward.
Yes, and Team America.
Well, folks, this has certainly been an interesting podcast. I think this is a good place to kind of wrap it up. Nicci, do you have any closing thoughts on this amazing movie and the benefits it has to our society and our culture?
I cried laughing in the movie theater, and it is one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's a great political commentary of that era of American history.
It's a time I look back on because of my childhood, and I just look back and thinking, I looked through it with such a very innocent, like, idealistic mindset. I definitely was the child of, like, I think I definitely supported the war. I think it was definitely like, oh, if we're going to war, I need to support the troops and support this country and all this stuff, and just realizing that nothing in this world, especially when it comes to politics, will ever be perfect. Donald Sutherland said in the movie JFK, "Politics is power, nothing more." I think it's a pretty, it's a pretty good quote. It's a pretty good way to look at things.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you for listening to this episode of Imagination Fun Time. This is the second episode I have done with Nicci Pierce, and I'm sure we will do more in the future. Nicci, do you want to say goodbye to the folks?
Goodbye, everybody.
All right. Alrighty, folks. You have a wonderful day, and I will catch you next time.